Wow, that was quite an episode. Hey, what's up, Internet peoples? Todd here, and we're reviewing the newest episode of the Clone Wars, The Phantom Apprentice. So some of you may have noticed I have a little green screen behind me. I'm just experimenting, seeing what works. This green screen is going to allow me to put up some cool graphics like this, or this, or this. Oh, no, I'm sorry, get rid of that. There we go. Not that. I don't know what that was. You didn't see anything. If you haven't already, maybe consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so that you're notified of all of my future videos, and maybe even consider hitting the like button, as it really does help out my channel. Or you could hit the dislike button if you don't want my channel to succeed. It's really up to you. Do I make the same joke in all of my videos? That doesn't forebode well for me, does it? Some serious business real quick. Last week I announced I was going to do a special video to commemorate the end of the Clone Wars. I wanted to get your guys' reactions to the Clone Wars. I wanted to see what you guys thought of the Clone Wars and what it means to you, what's your favorite parts about it, not just this season, but the whole series as a whole. And I got like 0 responses, so yeah. I think that may have been because I put it at the end of the video this time. So I'm going to put it right here so that you guys see it. I'm going to put the email right here again. I'm just letting you know you guys have till this upcoming Friday for when the next episode comes out to release it, because I need time to edit and make that video. Yeah, just let me know what you guys thought of the Clone Wars. What are your favorite parts about it? What does Clone Wars mean to you? Who's your favorite character from the Clone Wars? Just anything. I want to include as many clips as possible in that video. So, okay, now we got business out of the way. Let's talk about the actual episode itself. You know, a lot of people online are talking about how this is the best Clone Wars episode ever, that this is the best we've ever seen of the Clone Wars, and I'll be honest, I kind of agree, but I wouldn't say it's the best episode ever. Hold on, hear me out. You know, last week, with the last episode, I said that was the best Clone Wars episode, and I still feel that way. However, this episode, I think, was just on the same level as that one. The problem for me when ranking these episodes is I tend to more want to rank the arc as a whole rather than just each individual episode, which makes reviewing these very difficult. I think what's especially difficult for me in this scenario is that I do feel like this whole arc was created to be a movie and just got split up into individual parts, which makes reviewing it very difficult for me. It'd be like if I watched The Empire Strikes Back in 20-minute segments and had that split up in several weeks, you know, and I wasn't able to get the full story until I waited like a month to get everything and then watch it all together at once. Like, those 20-minute segments may be amazing and great, but it's hard to get the full scope of the story, and it kind of like can pull you out of it when you keep getting interrupted every like 20 minutes with wait till next week. I feel like I'm just missing so much, not being able to just watch all of them in order. And that could just be because I'm spoiled with the binge culture we have now. But I feel like I want to reserve my full judgments until the whole arc is finished. That being said, though, this 20-minute segment here of this movie is still really good. The thing is, unlike last week, which spent a lot of time focusing on Ahsoka as a character and really just bringing in a lot of things fans wanted to see, like her reuniting with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Rex and the rest of the 501st, and dealing with that element of things. It was more focused on the action, the actual siege of Mandalore, which I love action. I just prefer those moments, those personal moments, like with Anakin and Ahsoka. So because there wasn't a whole lot of that, I feel like I kind of enjoyed it a little less than last week, but again, the quality is still on par. The animation is still superb, and the storytelling is still great. Also, seen as the highlight of this episode is that duel between Ahsoka and Maul. I'm just going to bring it up right now. Is it the best battle we've seen in the Clone Wars? Probably. I still think my favorite lightsaber battle in all the Clone Wars is the battle between Darth Sidious, Darth Maul, and Savage Opress. And coincidentally, or maybe just very intentionally, that duel also happened in the throne room on Mandalore. And I just love that fight. I've always loved it. It's so intense, and I just love seeing how giddy Palpatine is to be fighting. It's just like, it's so awesome. But with this fight, I just love the technical aspect of it. One, the animation is beautiful, and the motion capture they use makes it feel so lifelike. From a technical standpoint, I gotta say it is the best lightsaber duel that Clone Wars has ever produced. And it's gonna really raise the bar for future animated projects for them because it looks amazing. Would I say it's the best lightsaber duel we've seen in the Clone Wars? Was I as invested in this fight as others? Maybe not. I don't know. It's still very fresh in my mind. It's still one of my favorites now, but it may end up becoming like my favorite later on down the road. But I still got to say, out of all lightsaber fights, Maul's, Palpatine's, and Savage's is still my favorite. I should do like a ranking video of like the top lightsaber duels in all the Clone Wars. That'd be really fun. Let me guys know if you want to see that. Let me know in the comments down below. The person they're using for the motion capture for Darth Maul in this fight is Ray Park, who played him in The Phantom Menace. So it really does feel like it's Darth Maul fighting Ahsoka. For Ahsoka, they had a stunt actor named, I want to get her name right, Lauren Mary Kim. Apparently she's done work on like The Mandalorian and a few other big projects, I think Fast and Furious, I believe. So she's a great stunt actor. And she does a really good job here too with Ahsoka. I just love how fluid the motion is. Like Ahsoka spins her blades around and it feels so lifelike. It feels like something you would see on screen in an actual lightsaber duel. And I'm just blown away by the technical side of this. One thing I also really love about this episode, again, as I said before, there really isn't much in the way of like emotional scenes like you had in the first episode of this arc. But this episode instead spends a lot of time focusing on Maul and where his mind is at. And I really do like this. It's very interesting to see someone who was supposed to be part of the grand plan from the beginning is now has to sit on the sidelines and watch as it's being enacted. And he knows it's going to happen. And there's not really much he can do about it. I also thought it was interesting that he actually tried to stop Order 66 from happening, or at least like get revenge on Palpatine by taking away his prized student, and he wanted to kill Anakin originally so that he couldn't turn to the dark side. It's like Ahsoka and Maul want the same things, but they're going about it in completely different ways. When Maul and Ahsoka had their little talk before their duel, I thought that was really great, and hearing Maul's speech talking about how in the end, like, justice doesn't really matter at this moment because right now the Jedi Order and the Republic are about to fall and the Empire is going to rise and take its place. Really, there's really not going to be any justice, nor is there really ever any true justice, because justice is just determined by the powers that be at that moment. And right now, those are about to change like that. So even if you wanted to surrender, there's no point in it. It's just so very interesting to see his mindset on that. And him also trying to convince Ahsoka of his view and showing them that they're very much alike. You know, they're both failed apprentices. They're both, you know, been having cast aside by their orders. Though Ahsoka wasn't really cast aside. She left voluntarily. Though she left because the Jedi Order lost faith in her. And so it's really all about technicalities. And I also found it very interesting that Ahsoka came like this close to actually joining Maul, which I was very surprised by. I mean, she said, "I will help you." But then, like, it's because of what his plan was with Anakin that she ended up not joining him. I was like, you came this close to joining Maul. And I just did not expect that. It makes sense for her as a character in this moment, but I just didn't think she would say that. And then, like, Ahsoka loses her lightsabers, which I thought when we saw them drop, they were going to, like, sort of reenact the scene with Cody and Obi-Wan in Revenge of the Sith, where he drops his lightsaber and Cody picks it up, because immediately when Ahsoka's lightsabers fell, it cut right to Rex, so I thought he was going to, like, grab him and be like, in the next episode, was going to be like, "Oh, madam, I think you're going to need these." But they didn't end up doing that. And as far as we know, she's just lost her lightsabers entirely, which I have a feeling she's going to find them and pick them up again, because we do see her using them in the trailer during scenes that, were not in these episodes. So I feel like she's going to pick them up. But also canonically she has to, because again, in the Ahsoka novel, there is a scene where she has to bury them. And I don't want to spoil that scene and go into too much detail about that, because I don't want to spoil this arc or even that book if you're actually curious on reading that at some point. But there is a spot where she still has them after the events of the Siege of Mandalore, and then has to bury them. And that's why she doesn't have lightsabers anymore by the time of that book, and why she ends up getting white lightsabers eventually. So I know canonically she has to get them back. But yet then again, also in that book, they're supposed to be green, and they're not. So I don't know what's going on with with Lucasfilm right now and their whole idea of canon, because apparently also that Black Sun leader that we see talking to Maul is supposed to be dead at this point, and he's still alive. So I don't know. A lot of the Black Sun leaders look the same, so it could be another guy. I don't know. But speaking of that scene, I thought it was really cool that we got to see Dryden Voss, the leader of Crimson Dawn, from Solo, in there as well. I just thought that was a little nice touch there. But I love, in the end, as I was mentioning before, with them fighting up on the rafters, and Ahsoka does beat Maul, which I know some people are complaining about. Let me just say this real quick. Darth Maul is famous for losing. Okay? Let's get that point across. Maul may be incredibly skilled and very powerful in the Force, but he is famous for being over-arrogant and overconfident, which usually leads towards his downfall. Like we see this in The Phantom Menace. Obi-Wan, as a Padawan learner, takes him down. We see later on the Clone Wars, Maul loses to Obi-Wan and Asajj Ventress. Then again, when Maul has the help of his brother, and they're both tag teaming Obi-Wan, Obi-Wan beats them both. Yeah, even though he does have a few wins here and there to show he's, not useless, he still gets taken down a lot. Later on in Rebels, he gets beaten by Kanan Jarrus, who was just recently blinded, and he gets taken down in 5 seconds. Maul's whole shtick is that he thinks he's going to win, and no matter what he does, he loses. Plus, Ahsoka has been trained by the greatest warrior in the Jedi Order, maybe other than Yoda and Mace Windu, and has gone toe-to-toe with Asajj Ventress and General Grievous. She's not a novice, she's a very skilled duelist. So the idea that she could possibly defeat Maul is not ridiculous at all, and makes complete sense to me anyway. And to be fair as well, it wasn't an easy fight. Maul pretty much had her on the tip of her toes the entire fight. They were pretty evenly matched. And in the end, he does disarm her, and it's just that one lucky move that she uses to defeat him. Also, it was just very interesting when Ahsoka does defeat Maul, and she's trying to save him. She's using the Force to lift him up, and he's just begging her to let him die. He's like, "No, let me go, let me die." Sam Witwer's just knocks out of the park as Maul in this episode. His voice acting is just incredible. Him just screaming "You don't know what you're doing." I would try and do the voice. I usually try to imitate the voice of Maul when I do it, but I can't mimic Sam Witwer's screaming, so I'm not even going to try. But at least not without messing up my throat. But, he's all screaming, "Let me go. You're all going to burn. You're all going to die. You don't know what you're doing. I know what's going to happen, and I'm trying to stop it." It was such an intense scene, and it's did they do the right thing by capturing Maul? Should they have let him go? And if they did, would they have been able to stop Order 66? I also find it interesting during this scene, the episode ends with, after they capture Maul, and Ahsoka looks up into the sky, and she just has this face she just kind of senses this ominous dread. And it's could that have been the moment that Anakin turned to the dark side? I've seen some clips where people have taken the fight with Maul and Ahsoka and lined it up exactly with the moment where the Jedi Council comes in and tries to capture Palpatine, and Mace Windu and him have that fight. If you apparently when Maul goes to attack Ahsoka, he lets out a very similar scream to Palpatine when he does his flippy flippy move against the Jedi. And if you line up those scenes exactly so that those screams happen at the same time, Anakin's turn to the dark side happens almost at pretty much the exact same time as when Ahsoka looks up into the sky. I don't know if that was intentional on the filmmaker's part, but I don't know. That would be very interesting and would line up really well. It would kind of explain that look of dread she has where she's like, something's not right here. And this would also be very soon before Order 66, which, if I'm right, that could mean that this next episode is going to open up with Order 66. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts on the new episode. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it? Did you love it? Was it the best ever? Was it the worst ever? Let me know in the comments down below. And again, you still have time to submit your clips of your reactions to the Clone Wars, your thoughts of the Clone Wars. What are your favorite episodes, your characters, whatever you want to talk about with the Clone Wars. The email will be down below, and you can still submit those until this upcoming Friday when the next Clone Wars episode airs, because I really want to get that video done before the last episode comes out. Look at my email down below and just send me those clips. And if you haven't already, as I said in the intro, be sure to like and subscribe to this channel if you really like my content. Maybe even, hit the notification bell as well, because it really helps me out. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a good one.